Tanacon.
It's for the fans to have the experience that they deserve. It's for the fans to have the experience that they deserve.
The convention that everyone's tired of hearing about might be one of the biggest creator scams of all time. Tana Mongeau is a storytime YouTuber who somehow was allowed to throw her own physical convention and invite thousands of people to meet in sunny Anaheim, California to come see her. The event absolutely bombed after they sold 5,000 tickets to a venue that could only hold 1,000 people. Fire marshals and police officers showed up to shut it down and people left in ambulances. The fans were sent home hungry, tired, and most with bad sunburns. $325,000 worth of ticket money disappeared out of thin air, and the event organizer was on the first flight across the country by morning. Lives began to overlap one another, and everyone started to take advantage of this disaster called Tanacon. Documentaries were made, tears were shed, and audiences were manipulated. They did shed some light on who was to blame for all the mess-ups along the way, but overall we were just left with too many unanswered questions about the whole situation, and that's what we're gonna get to the bottom of in this video. If you're new here, subscribe and share this video with any of your friends that might need some tea today. We're gonna be discussing everything we talk about in the video together in the comments afterwards, so strap in and listen up, because there's a good chance Tanacon was planned to fail from the very beginning. This whole idea was started in spite of VidCon. Tana wasn't treated like she thought they should treat her, so to get revenge and show them that we as creators don't need them and can throw a convention better and for less money, she planned on having Tanacon down the street from VidCon at the very same time. All of this was in hopes of showing up VidCon and shoving it in their face that anyone can do what they do, and she was going to do it better the first time. And I think this was a major problem going into it. With something of this scale that involves so many thousands of other people's time and money, you have to be doing it for the right reason so you're more focused on your fans' well-being. Tana was not throwing Tanacon from the passion she has as a creator, but she threw it in hopes to strike back at the hand that hurt her feelings by taking some of their business. She teamed up with Michael Weist, CEO of Good Times, to host her convention and eventually blamed him for everything that went wrong, and he, in turn, just pushed all the blame on the Marriott. Apparently he had rented a ballroom that had the capacity of 1,000 people, and they told him that that was just a rough estimate, it could probably hold around 5,000, so they ended up selling 5,200 VIP tickets, which isn't accounting for all the free tickets as well as the people who would just show up to the event and walk in. Way too many people showed up and all of hell broke loose. Michael was frantically running around Anaheim trying to find other venues to hold it at the next day, and everyone was coming back from heat strokes and the worst sunburns you could possibly imagine, while our main girl Tana is partying it up with her friends. If Tana really cared about Tanacon and her fans that were let down and hurt by her, she wouldn't have been out partying even the slightest bit. Yeah, we heard it was her network's party and they wanted her to be there and everything, but no, this is different. Thousands of people were just hurt by something you organized and asked them for their time and money. And by the way, where did all the money go? Tana doesn't have access to the money. She hired Good Times to run the business side of things. But in this clip, apparently Michael doesn't have access to the funds either because the ticket company is holding the funds.
And also, like, for the record, everyone's talking about refunds. I don't even have the money from the ticket company. The ticket company is holding funds.
And it looks like Good Times hired a company named Veeps to handle the tickets, but why would they hold the money? Can they even do that? Apparently Michael signed a contract saying that if anything went wrong, Veeps gets to keep the money, so he would have to refund the $325,000 worth of ticket money. But why would he do that? That doesn't make any sense. And real quick, hold up. Good Times is an LLC, which stands for Limited Liability Company, and means that they can't be held liable for all the screw-ups, but Michael keeps going on and on about losing his house and going bankrupt when he wouldn't lose anything. Why would he say that if this doesn't apply to him? And as of now, it looks like there are 3 different ways everyone is trying to issue a refund. Tana sent out a tweet June 23rd saying that refunds will be issued even if she has to do it out of pocket, and everyone that lost money due to travel expenses can reach out to her through email to discuss compensation from her personally, which basically means nothing. But the next day, Good Times issued a formal statement saying that we're sorry that 15,000 people showed up because they were only staffed and prepared for 5,000, which we'll talk about in a second, but they also said that instead of just sending everyone their money back, they wanted you to go fill out a survey and request a refund, which they'll try to send in 30 days. But just a second ago, we heard Michael say he doesn't have access to the money. How are they going to issue any refunds if they don't have any money? Skip forward to the next week, and now apparently the ticket company will be issuing the refunds. This time you have to email Veeps within 30 days, and they'll try to send you a refund within 90 days. It just sounds like a lot of hoops you have to jump through to get your money back for something they should just refund everyone over. That's a little sketchy to me. And Veeps? Where did you come from? Why did you hold the money? Is it possible that Michael owns Veeps too? Because if we do a little digging, we can see all these other companies that Michael owns and directly uses to build up and make his other companies seem legit. It looks like he had a clothing company called Harlequin that wasn't doing so well, so he shut it down as soon as he started working with Tana at the beginning of this year to start up a new company that he used her to promote. This Gloria et Sang company was started started around the same time Tana started working with him on Tanacon, and he just used her for promotional purposes to give his new name some clout and sell some ridiculously overpriced clothes to her young viewers. In the past, he also had a record label, it looks like, called Swerve that he signed a few Viners to that eventually was run into the ground and abandoned. He also organized all the Digitours back in the day, which turned into scams as well. He just doesn't have the best track record, and there's a good possibility this is all one giant scam. Okay, so it looks like Veeps is owned by a bigger company called Movio that is apparently a live streaming service, and if we look a little closer at the address listed, we can follow that all the way back to an abandoned warehouse in the middle of Colorado. I mean, it just keeps getting sketchier from here. Movio's website has been locked since the disaster took place, and if we take it a step further, we can see that Veep's IP address is registered to a PO box in the Cayman Islands. This is what big corporations use for tax evasion, money laundering, and other illegal business practices. Why would Veeps be out of the Cayman Islands? And apparently, Veeps was only created a few months ago, and it's very new to the scene, like as if it was specifically created for Tanacon. Right before the event, they changed their terms of service possibly to what it says now about if anything went wrong, they would keep the money. Is it possible that Michael or one of his friends set this up knowing that things would go south and this was just their plan to keep the money? I think we're only seeing refunds being issued now because this scam blew up so big. I think without the 40 million views documentary, this would have been swept under the rug and no one would have gotten their money back. But looking a little deeper, apparently the CEO of Veeps is a woman named Sherry Saeed. The reason it's so hard to find her is because after Shane's video went up, she immediately removed being the CEO from all of her socials and business profiles. She also unfollowed Michael on Twitter and removed any previous association she had with him to possibly stay under the radar so her and Michael could pocket some of the ticket money. I don't know, her in general just seems a little off in how hard she's trying to hide being the CEO of Veeps. I don't know why at this point, as big as it is, she just wouldn't address the problem and issue everyone's refunds back unless there's something bigger going on behind the scenes and they're still trying to pocket some of the money. Let me know what you guys think about her and Michael in the comments. And apparently Tana keeps claiming that she's investing so much of her money into the event to make it happen, while Michael keeps absolutely shutting her down and saying the direct opposite, that it was him and his company that fronted the money for everything and that's why he's gonna go broke. Tana never says how much or what specifically she paid for out of pocket, and at one point she just mentions that everything she's making on this event is just going right back into it. So in that case, she wouldn't be taking any of her own money to lay down for her fans, just the money that she got from the fans initially for Tanacon was what she was using to help run it, which is completely different than swearing up and down saying you're paying so much out of pocket for the fans because you love them and want to give them Tanacon, when in reality, you're not actually putting any of your funds into it. But I want to know, Tana, how much of your personal money did you actually invest into Tanacon? Not talking about the money generated by the event that the fans funded, but how much of your own money was put up to run this event? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Let me know if you guys have any idea on how much you think she laid out for Tanacon. And another thing. Why was Good Times claiming that there were 15 to 20,000 people that showed up and that's the reason things went haywire, when in reality only 5,000 people showed up, the exact amount you planned for, and 1,000 of those people were inside the venue, which again is the right amount of people to be in the venue. By issuing this statement, they basically tried to place the blame on the idea that 3 times as many people showed up that they had planned for, but it was still Michael and Tana's fault for planning to have 5,000 people show up to a venue that could only hold 1,000 people max. The right amount of people showed up, but because it was 4 times as many as capacity, they weren't able to accommodate everyone and tried to publicly push the blame on the event's unexpected success of bringing 15,000 people. Marriott's being fined by Anaheim's fire marshal and police force at the moment, and they now have some higher ups looking into this employee that Michael claimed told them 1,000 was just an estimate and it could roughly hold 5,000. But I think it's weird we haven't seen any of the footage of anyone telling them this since they recorded everything for this documentary they wanted to make. It seems like such a big claim when you basically should have it on tape and just never show it and no one even addresses it. And apparently Michael's suing the Marriott over this? Like, what on earth? Why would you? I mean, maybe since all the ticket money's going back out, he needs to make some kind of money and this is what he thinks the next easiest way to get some, but I just don't get it. If he goes off of hearsay, there's not much proof, but it also contradicts his bold claim of filming everything non-stop for his documentary. It just makes it look like he's the one to blame here. Tana started off on this journey in spite of VidCon and was out to get revenge on them for not making her a featured creator and telling her she's important, when she just proved even more that she was way out of her lane and needs to sit down and let VidCon do the convention planning. You can't plan a 5,000 person convention in 2 months and be able to come through on all these bold claims she made to her fans. It takes time to organize something like that, and it was irresponsible to inconvenience and hurt so many people, so many fans, because your judgment was clouded by ulterior motives. You're in a position of power right now with such a big audience, and having a few million people listen to you tell stories and break down in front of a camera is one thing, but asking thousands of people who aren't as set on money as you are to leave their houses and fly across the country specifically to come to your event is so different. Their time, their finances, their well-being, well-being comes into play. So much more than you're normally responsible for when they just watch your videos as in play, and to try to throw something like this together in 2 months might just be naive, which is understandable, but it comes across as inconsiderate to your fans, and that's the opposite of what you wanted to come out of this. That being said, having another convention to rival VidCon is actually a great idea. Just like in any other industry, competition makes everyone be the best they can be in hopes of beating their competitor. It would still be hard to rival VidCon just because it's done what it's doing for so long, and it's always going to have those supporters and people that come back, but just the other day, Keemstar dropped that he's in the process of creating the next VidCon, which is great. You take him and all the other creators who want to support this alternative to VidCon, and you have this massive audience of people who will drop what they're doing to come to this event and support their favorite creators, as we saw with Tanacon. But I also believe that this one will be run much better. Tana and Michael originally pushed the blame on the free ticket attendees and said all these unregistered people showed up and that's why it was shut down. Free tickets are not bad, the problem was the free tickets being unregistered, and them saying you can just show up without a ticket. How on earth are you supposed to plan a convention and figure out how big of a venue you need when you don't know how many people are coming? That's insane! I don't know if Keemstar's new convention will have free tickets. I hope it doesn't, just for the sake of funding. With something this big, you need money for an actual venue and funds for accommodations and security and all the things that Tanacon lacked. But I'm curious and want to know what you guys think about all this. Head down to the comments, we'll be discussing everything there, and share this with any of your friends who need some tea and can lend some insight. Thank you so much for watching, I appreciate the time you spent here, and if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say in the comments, but after that, I am going to see you in the next video. Peace.
It's for the fans to have the experience that they deserve.